Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. In fact, it is episode 50. We have hit 50 episodes in the last 4 months, and I'm only trucking downhill here. We're doing 5 episodes a week now, Monday through Friday, at least for the next 2 months. I have booked all the way through August and some August days as well. So hopefully I can keep you guys entertained Monday through Friday with an hour or so, and you guys will not start looking elsewhere for some other almost handsome bearded man to tell you about politics with friends. But anyways, let's talk about some sponsors. Of course, we have Lorenzotti.coffee for all your delicious Italian coffee needs delivered directly to your door. Bring the taste of Italy home. Use BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. And of course, TopLobster.com, the homie, the friend, the partner on the show. The man is diligently working his ass off to give you guys a better aesthetic for the show all the time. He's working right now on creating new badges for all the members of the show, new emojis that members can use in the live chat. He is awesome, so go check out TopLobster.com. Use BTC at checkout for a 10% discount when you buy this awesome Dr. Ron Paul for Congress shirt that I'm wearing today that he drone, something like that. Anyways, and executive producer of the show, Anthem Planning, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check these people out. They're amazing. They're doing something that the government sucks at for a much cheaper cost and much more efficiently. See what they can do for your business or your personal life today. At some point, I'm going to try to get them to give me an awesome audio ad for my audio portion of this podcast because they deserve it. They're amazing. Guys, we've got an awesome show for you today. I'm very, very excited for this one. I've been hanging out with this guy online for a long time. In fact, I want to say it was over a year ago. He told me about this small web series that he had put together called Max Justice. He is the creator of Max Justice, superhero web series on YouTube where he does explode heads. It's pretty cool. But his name is Patrick Kerby. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Of course.
Really excited to be here. You're doing great things.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. I'm excited to have you here. I think we need to get hundreds and hundreds and thousands of more eyes on your show. It's a great show. I think it has the potential to be something much bigger. But we got to get people to see it. So hopefully after you are done watching our show, you guys will go check out Max Justice on YouTube. Start at the pilot episode. You will see some terrorists that getting their heads blown up. And then
ISIS episode. Yeah,
the ISIS episode, exactly. And then you will transcend from there. It's a good time. But Mr. Kerby, sir, why don't you tell us about your personal journey to come to the Liberty Sphere?
Okay, I have some street cred in this area. My first introduction to libertarianism, I think I was completely apolitical. I went to a county fair, and the Libertarian Party of Nevada at that time. This was back in the
before they sucked.
Before they sucked. Before they sucked, and they don't suck again now. By the way,
yes.
The Mises Congress took over, and the Nevada's party is doing great. But someone had a Nolan chart, and was totally apolitical. So I looked at the Nolan chart and found out I was on the libertarian side. And I go, wow, that's interesting. Then a little while later, my son, who was 2 at the time, had a seizure, and we took him to the hospital because we were scared and didn't know what to do. And the doctor wanted to give him a spinal tap. And fortunately, my wife at the time knew a lot about meningitis and things like that. She says, no, it's not meningitis. You're not giving him a spinal tap. And so we ended up just giving him a tepid bath and taking him home. Well, the next day, CPS comes over to take my kid away. So this doctor got the God complex and thought we were, that because we didn't obey his every command, that he reported us to CPS. So I talked them down and showed him Max. He was feeling a lot better, so everything's good. And then so after that, I kind of said, all right, this is enough is enough of this. I got to do something about this. So I got involved in the Libertarian Party. I made the commercials. I'm in the television production business. I made the commercials for Andre Maru in 1992, and we were ahead in the presidential race for 4 hours because we made a commercial for Dixville Notch and played a commercial in Dixville Notch, the place that votes at midnight.
Yeah. And
Andre Maru won in Dixville Notch. So the Libertarian Party, because of my commercials, was ahead for about 4 hours. And then after that, we were somewhat involved in the Michael Badnarik campaign too, and we're just really strong in the libertarian beliefs. And then in 2007, I see on the Aaron Russo's website that Ron Paul is running for president as a Republican. And I said, oh, I'm all in. And so I was, 24 hours a day just working, promoting Ron Paul in 2008. And I was responsible for our state convention getting shut down in 2008 because I at the time it was the first year our state had done a caucus, and always before, the executive board of the Nevada Party chose the delegates to go to the national convention, and I put forth a motion in the convention that the delegates who were elected at the caucuses should elect the people to go to the national convention, and that got approval. And then during lunchtime, I went around and put the names of 12 libertarians on all the seats, and everybody started voting for them. And as soon as the leadership saw what was happening, they shut the convention down.
Shocking.
Yeah. So if this sounds familiar to what's going on recently in the LP.
In the LP. Well, this is something that went on with the Ron Paul campaign all over the country. I mean, it wasn't just in Nevada.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was 2008, and then Nevada we kind of stuck with the Republican Party, and in 2012, the delegation to the 2012 GOP convention in Tampa was 85% Ron Paul people,
right?
And I was one of them, and so. Anyway, I was actually bound to vote for Romney, and then when we got there and I saw how bad he cheated, I goes, no freaking way, I'm going to vote for this guy. So I broke my binding. I voted for Ron Paul, and got in a lot of trouble with the GOP afterwards. And so I said, okay, I'm done with politics. What we need is culture precedes politics. So I'm going to try something that, at the time there was a web series called Red versus Blue. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It was some guys, Rooster Teeth Productions. They made a web series using the Halo as an animation engine. It was hilarious. Check it out someday. Anyway, it got really popular with the gamers, and I'm sitting there thinking, if I can create a superhero that can get really popular with gamers, there's 12 million people talking to each other all the time that play World of Warcraft. And, if they can start talking about libertarian themes and stuff like that. So that was my idea with the culture precedes politics thing. So I conceived and wrote this thing, and my son Max plays the lead character. So I got to, produce these things and go play around with my son and do cool stuff. And so we created this web series about a libertarian superhero.
Right.
And
so that's your son.
That's my son.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So what a great time that is.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I got 7 kids. Man, now I'm going to start thinking about all kinds of productions I can do with my 7 children.
Dude, when they get to age, it's just so much fun watching them. He started working with me when he was 15. What is that minimum thing, minimum age requirements to work we were talking about? Well, he started working with me when he was 15, and he's 30 now, and he won an Emmy last year for camera work. So he's totally homeschooled, working with his dad's business and doing great. He's like admired by all of his colleagues, all the people that are my age, just love him. And he's a great kid.
That's pretty cool, man. So you homeschooled your kid all through everything, huh?
Yes.
Oh. When did you decide to do that? How did you come to that decision?
Oh, come on. After the after the incident with the doctor, I didn't want the government getting their mitts in my kids in any way, shape, or form.
Smart man.
So, we homeschooled them, and and that's we can talk about this later when we finish with the Max Justice stuff. But we have to find the formula of when to teach your kids about liberty that gives them the firewall against toxic ideologies. We as Americans, we have to do that, because I don't know when it was that I taught him this stuff, but he hears anything about communists and socialism and it just bounces right off him. They can throw all the stuff at him because he knows the principles of liberty. And so that's important to do. So anyway, we did the Max Justice thing. We did. I do episodes what I call the encounter episodes, which are just kind of a short theme of everybody loves the idea of people who really need their asses kicked and get a good talking to beforehand when watching somebody do that,
Sure.
and so like the ISIS episode, they're about to behead somebody. So how cool it would be to just show up and be able to decimate these guys while saying what Max says, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, he's definitely, there's that, and then he breaks the fourth wall and talks around to everything, and it is very preachy. And you talked a little bit about that before the show, that it's very preachy, but he's a libertarian. Right. Of course it's fucking preachy.
Exactly. That's what people say, it's a little preachy. I go, well, it says in the character description that he's a libertarian. We're all preachy. Yeah. I saw Brian Nichols posted a meme of a Trojan horse that says, in normal anyday conversation, my friends, and inside the Trojan horse's philosophy. And that's exactly me. You can try not to talk politics and philosophy, but somebody will just say something and boom, I'll go off, because, that's the libertarian superpower, is the philosophy is all on our side. The truth, the basic philosophy of human nature, of how to live peacefully and prosperously, all of that philosophy is on our side. And so that's a superpower. So when we start arguing about stuff, I sent you a super chat the other day because people were talking about the racism thing. It's like, the foil for all this back and forth, white power, black power, whatever, is collectivism versus individualism.
True.
And and I think that's what it's all about. We have to fall back on the philosophy, because that's where the truth, the evidence, everything. We created this. We got lots of flaws in America, but everybody still wants to come here because of what is said in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, and that stuff is undeniable, and that's the libertarian superpower. So we just have to fall back on that philosophy all the time. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Max Justice. So
sure.
Tell us about Max. Who is Max? What is Max doing? What's going on?
Well, Max is pretty much me. As if I had superpowers. It's like I am so confident and clear that that liberty is the formula for the peaceful and prosperous advancement of humanity, and that it's all spelled out for us. The founders spelled it out for us. They had lots of flaws too, but they spelled it out for us. It's all right there. And here we are on the verge of destroying ourselves simply because we didn't read the book. It's simply because we haven't embraced that philosophy. A friend of mine did a video named Paul Manecki, and he did a video about the principles of liberty. If you take the advancement of humanity as school grades, the principle of liberty were 8th grade ideas presented to 3rd graders in 1776.
Sure.
Now we're in 4th grade, and we look back at all the stupid shit that the 3rd graders did and go, oh, look at the but that's just holding us back. But can't we just say, all right, they were 3rd graders. We're in 4th grade. Here's the 8th grade ideas. So let's live up to these ideas better than anyone has before us. And that's our way out of this. That's our way out of all this stuff. And I segued again out of Max Justice.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay.
So anyway, basically that's Max that's his philosophy. And now he has the power. He can sense when things are about to go bad, so he can show up before it's too late, and he can save people's lives, and he can talk to these bad guys and kind of explain what they're doing wrong. Preach at them, and which is basically preaching at the audience, and then blow up their heads when it's required.
Which is probably the coolest part. I mean, the head blowing up
really
thing is awesome.
It really is, yeah. And we came up with that idea because, I don't know if you've seen the episode 2 of the origin story when he's sitting around. He invites all of his geek friends over, and they just have like a superhero person. If you could pick your superpowers, what would they be? And that's every nerd has a favorite and comes up with that. And it was kind of the conglomeration. And the one girl says that force field, like Susan Storm in the Fantastic Four, would be the coolest power ever. And everyone goes, that's a lame power. She goes, no, you just never, you're just not diabolical enough, because if your goal is to deal with assholes and not get caught about it, you can just form a force field inside their heart as you walk by and expand it a little bit. They have a heart attack, they die, and no one knows that you did it. And then in the 3rd episode of the origin story, he's having trouble. He's just learning to control his force field, and he just puts one in somebody's head and it blows up.
Right.
And so that kind of becomes his signature thing. When people need to go, he just puts a force field inside their heads and turns it into a basketball and blows up their heads.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He can control the size, so he moves his hands a little, and bam, there goes the head. Yeah. And it is, if we go all the way back to the pilot episode, the ISIS episode, it was really satisfying.
It is. It is. There's people who, they're just these villains that need to be taken care of, and watching it happen is glorious.
Sure.
So yeah. And I didn't blow up any heads in the police brutality episode. He blew up their knees, and which, I had a line written into it because I just feel bad that these guys, even though they're off the street forever, are probably going to get a pension, and and the taxpayers are going to have to pay for them, because that a couple of them deserve their heads blown up, but he didn't blow up their heads. But he did put them in their place.
Sure. So I just want to give a nod. We're not going to talk about this now, because we're going to talk about this in the after hours show afterwards. But I do want to give a little nod to the Hawaiian shirt that you're wearing today. It's perfectly timed. Tom Woods, I know you're watching. Check out the Hawaiian shirt. That's what it's all about, man. That is life right there. How you could say the Hawaiian shirts are bad is beyond me. I almost made me want to throw away every shirt I own and go buy nothing but Hawaiian shirts when Tom said that.
Yeah, it's just like a vaccine. If you like it, get it.
Yeah.
If you don't,
there you go. You have the liberty to wear your Hawaiian shirt. We're going to talk about this more in the after hours show tonight. So become a member of the channel so you can watch us dump on Tom Woods and his hate for Hawaiian shirts and shorts.
Yes. Isabella Riley, I think she may have started it.
Who's also been on my show, and if you're watching, Isabella, you are wrong. You are very wrong.
That's right.
But let's talk a little bit about the Nevada Libertarian Party. I was not under the impression that you were in Nevada. I don't know why. I didn't know that. But have you got back to working with the Libertarian Party again?
I did. So yeah, I was a Republican for a long time. I ran for national committee man. There was another very libertarian guy named James Smack who was our national committee man for quite a while. And you know what? It's like you get into politics to try to raise it out of the mud, and invariably you find yourself standing in it to do it. It's just a dirty, disgusting thing, politics. So I haven't been involved with the Republican Party for some time, and I didn't get involved with the Libertarian Party because they were crap.
Sure.
You know,
especially Nevada.
Oh yeah, they come out against Ron Paul, and I go, who are these guys? You know, and so I just assume they're agent provocateurs, you know, and I have no evidence of that, but it doesn't matter, because if they were agent provocateurs, they couldn't have done a better job to alienate real libertarians from the Nevada Libertarian
Well, and especially
Party.
in a state where Ron Paul did maybe the best he did in the entire country.
Yeah. I live in Nye County, and Ron Paul won in the election in 2008 in Nye County. And we had a hand count, and I was supervising the count. So I know it was a fair count because that's the way it's supposed to be done. So the Nevada Libertarian Party was like, I would read stuff that they write, and I go, who are these clowns? You know, this has nothing to do with libertarian. This is collectivist. It's like we talked about it. The core principle of libertarians is individualism. And, you know, they're doing all this collectivist garbage. And so, and I wanted nothing to do with them. And then I got contacted by Jeff Hurley, who was involved in the Ron campaign also when he was very young. And he's vice president of Nevada now.
Vice chair.
And, vice chair, sorry.
He's a good guy. I know Jeff. He's a good guy.
Yeah, really good guy. And so is Charles, the
Charles is
chairman.
amazing too. Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm helping do some of the content on the Twitter account. So, yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm really excited for the whole Mises Kaka thing. It really reminds me of the Ron Paul 2008, 2012. I can't wait for Reno. And I can't wait to, you know, to see what the Libertarian Party can do in the next elections.
Sure.
I still think everybody's putting the cart before the horse, and that election reform needs to be done before anybody can hope to get any honest result out of elections. But we'll see what happens.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So funny story, back in 2018, I don't know if I was running for chair still or if it was after I became an at-large. I was in the very first Libertarian Party of Nevada meetup on Zoom, the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus on Zoom. And I was the one, it was like Charles, Adam Santacor, and like 5 other people. And I was like, all right, buddy, here we go. This is what we're going to do. It starts out as a seed, and it grows into you guys taking over this state party. And this is the exact path we can take. And it was
You must be so proud.
Oh, my God. It was like, when they swept the board there, I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And so you guys have Deborah, what's her face there, right? This hardcore tweaker chick who sucks. And anyways, she popped on and she was talking all this shit to me. She's like, you never won chair. You never won your chair races and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I didn't have to. Like that, like I wanted to win the race, right? Like I wanted to win my election to chairman of the national committee. But it was never needed for me to push the Overton win in the party. And I said, and this is proof. You got your entire board swept, and you will never sit on that board in Nevada again. And now good people are running. And she goes, you're taking a lot of credit where it's not due. And Charles Melchin pops on and goes, well, actually, he's not taking any credit. He's not due. He was the one who helped us out with this in the beginning. And I was all, ha ha! You know, it was like, you know, and it's true. And there was a lot of state members that I helped get involved over the last 4 years. I mean, hundreds that are now sitting in positions of power in these state parties, and it's just like,
the seeds you planted, man, it can't be overstated. That's you know, and that's you should be really proud of that, because I worked my ass off in the Republican Party trying to get people to, you know, if you go around the country and you read county party platforms, they're wonderful.
Sure.
But nobody follows them. Republican Party platforms in a county party, and sometimes leading all the way up to the state, have great platforms, and it's all about reducing the size of government, reducing taxes, individual liberty, and stuff like that. And that and then once they're elected, they just throw all that shit out the window.
Sure.
So and so this is what I saw. I mean, when they nominated Bill Weld, I just said, okay, this party's being run by people who think it's a party, and they want to be like the other parties. And the thing that differentiates the Libertarian Party is that we need to be principles you can vote for instead of a political party to try to say, oh, we need somebody who's popular here or something like that. No, we need people who can articulate the message. And I'm so I really wanted Austin Peterson in 2016 because I think, yeah, that he could articulate the message better than any of those guys,
It's just unfortunate that he's such a big fan of the atomic bombs in Japan, man. Fuck.
Sometimes I think Austin just stirs the pot.
Oh, he does. He's always been the troll. I mean, even in 2016, everyone's like, I hate Austin Peterson because he's such a troll. It's like, yeah, that's his whole thing. That's what he's doing. He's literally trying to troll you. But I do officially believe that he thought those bombs were a good thing and that we couldn't have ended the war without it. But guess what? He's coming on my show this month, so we'll have a nice talk about it.
Yeah, you can have a nice talk about it because the real truth about it is we'll never know. We'll never know one way or the other. And that's one of my pet peeves is to I think it was a Stephen Covey book said spend 10% of your time on the past, just enough to learn from it, to not make the same mistakes, and 90% of your time on moving forward, on what's the best thing moving forward. And so, that kind of harkens back to that thing of the third graders. We can look back and say, oh, the founders owned slaves, and this is so we need to discount. I go, wait a second, you're going to discount all men are created equal because Thomas Jefferson owned slaves? It's like the truth is the truth, no matter who says it. And you don't know what the situation was like in the past. So you need to take the good stuff and move it forward. It's like this critical race theory is like, I told this to Maj Touré the other day, and he actually retweeted this, which is good, which is rare because I think that I'm deboosted. So I think most of the time when I tweet something to like an opinion leader and stuff, they never see it. I don't know that for sure, but because I'm guessing that. But anyway, I said, critical race theory is like talking about the problems you had on a car that have already been fixed. And then you got problems that still need to be fixed. So why are you talking about the problems that we've already fixed?
Sure.
If you look at the United States, it's not a place of oppression. It's got a lot of problems, but Let's
talk about oppression for a minute. I mean, it sure seems like a lot of people that wanted to go to fucking work over the last year were oppressed. So there are some oppressed people in this country. Let's talk about that.
I mean not racial. This is my first time I've ever done in a podcast live. Oh. I've done Zuby, and I've done Liberty Lockdown.
Oh, Zuby had you on?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was on Zuby way back. And but this is the first time live, and the first time people have ever been able to see my face. And so, it's something that I have this big red birthmark on my face, and that kind of taught me growing up a thing or two about judging people on in the immutable characteristics. And so it kind of gave me a kind of a good insight on how frickin' stupid racism is, because it's the content of character. Martin Luther King said, learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. That should be the end of the argument, man. Sure. It really should be, because there's another tangent, but Brian Nichols said, own the narrative by asking great questions. Sure. And that harkens back to our philosophy is our superpower. And if you ask the right questions, it's like all these people who, the social justice warriors and things like that, going like, okay, what does the world look like if you get everything you want? And I don't know if they ever consider that. It's like, what's the end goal of critical race theory, or what's the end goal of the social justice warriors? You know, what happens when they get everything they want? And if there's gulags in that place, then it sucks, and they need to rethink it, because
there's gulags.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
there's guaranteed gulags, because if your end goal doesn't have everybody living together in peace and prosperity, then A, it sucks, and B, it's not libertarian, because a libertarian is the only one that ends up that way.
Sure.
You know, and so I'm baffled that it's so hard to sell, because
let's think about some of those end goals. Definitely gulags, definitely bread lines. Undoubtedly, mass redistribution of wealth to the point of there are no more wealthy people. Just horrible shit, man. Who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
I want a fucking boat, man.
I also want a boat.
It's like my biggest. There's two things right now that I want more than just about anything. I want a boat, right? And I want a bus.
Is there water in Iowa?
Yeah, there's lakes and shit here, you know.
Good.
But I want I want a boat, and I want a bus. Like I want like a 30 passenger bus or something, because
you got to take your brood around. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we were actually looking at buses, dude. Like actually looking at some of the bigger buses, like the 50, 60 people buses, because you can pull out a bunch of seats and put in bunk beds and do all kinds of cool stuff for like traveling with it. You could put a rooftop AC in there. And I was I was watching all this shit, and I was like, man, I could totally build all that stuff, because I've been in the trade work, for 20 years.
Of course.
And I'm like,
I started as a carpenter, so.
Yeah, well, and then we found, hey, so did Jesus, man, and so we
nailed it.
Yeah, and we found some of these buses for like $2,500.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's way better than having to go buy, a $60,000-$70,000 camper or Winnebago or something. I'm like, shit, that's great.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's there was a meme once that says I need to be successful because I like expensive shit.
Yeah, that's it. It's true. It's not even that I need expensive shit. It's that I have a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's another part of it. Yeah,
I do want nice stuff for my kids, but I don't.
Yeah, I was single long enough, and my business was pretty successful long enough for me to purchase just about every firearm I ever wanted.
Nice.
I still need an AA-12 when they come out with a civilian version.
I would love to have an AA-12, like so much. Listen, the only time I ever played with an AA-12 is in Call of Duty. Okay, and I'm watching this thing go, man, it'd be great to have one of these in real life. Holy shit, you can get one of these in real life. And so now I'm like, I've wanted one, I don't know, probably been 10 years. I'm like, man, I got to get one of these someday. This would be so amazing.
I put myself on the list for the company that was supposedly going to handle the civilian version, which is semi-auto instead of full auto. And apparently they got into a legal dispute with somebody else. So I don't know how it ended up, and I still don't know if they're available.
Sure. I definitely do not have...
AA-12 right now.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, AA-12 it's bad. Trust me, you want one. I definitely do not have every firearm that I want. I have firearms, but not every firearm that I want. And I had this conversation with one of my heart son, our adopted son, who's 9, the other day. He's like, well, I want this and I want that and I want this, and we were kind of having a heart to heart. And I was like, yeah, I get that, buddy, and I want you to have all that stuff too. But do you know how much money I keep for myself? He's like, what? I was like, cigarettes and coffee, dude. That's it. That is all I get for myself these days.
Cut out the cigarettes and you'll be able to buy a gun in a month.
I know. That's it's true. It is a big part of my budget, but that's literally that's all I buy for myself anymore. Cigarettes and coffee. I mean, literally everything else is for my family and my kids. And
responsible father. It was like, I did that in the years when I was a dad, and then my kids left home, and I got divorced, and so all of a sudden I said, I wanted that looks cool. Tomorrow I owned it. So yeah.
And why not? Well, and you live in Nevada where you can basically just have about any gun anyways, right?
Yes, for the time being. Our state went blue in 2016. And so we're following California down the socialist shithole, basically right now. So
you can always move to the middle of the country, buddy.
I'm looking at it. If South Dakota wasn't so cold and I could make a living there. So yeah, if I could create content for the Libertarian Party and do max justice with a crowdfunding, I could live anywhere.
Sure. Yeah, that is one downside to living in the middle of the country. It is very cold here.
Yes.
Like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. I moved here from California last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I'm right outside of Oakland.
So cold seemed like when the wind would blow in off they're going, whoa, this is cold, and
55
it's like
degrees was cold to me.
5 degrees, yes.
Now it's negative 30.
I know. I went to Toronto for a video shoot or somewhere in Canada, and I'm walking down the street and it was negative 12. And walking down, and I could feel the water in my eyeballs freezing, and I'm going, who lives like this?
Me.
But now it's 115 here today, or 110 or so. It's hot.
Yeah, Nevada is definitely one of those places. Even Vegas. I mean, it's one of those places where you when it's hot there, you walk outside and it takes your breath away. You're like, holy shit, it's hot here.
Walking into a kiln. Yeah.
But it gets hot here too, and it's like, so this is something people do not know about Iowa. It is as humid as Florida, if not worse.
Yeah.
It is bad, and when it gets 100 degrees with that kind of humidity, it is torturous.
No, it's debilitating. It's absolutely debilitating. Yeah, here, like me and my girlfriend went out and shot bow and arrow this morning, so that you got a few hours from sunrise to like 7:30, or that you can go outside and do some stuff.
The desert, that desert weather. It's nice and cool in the morning.
Yeah, not nice and cool. 89, I think it was this morning.
Yeah, a lot better than 120.
But better than yes, exactly.
So what's your goal with Max Justice, man? I know you were looking for some funding and stuff like that, so you can continue it, make it a full-time gig. And so what were you trying to do there?
Save the world.
Of course, as we should.
There was I remember there was this leftist girl who was an actress. So and she watched the Second Amendment episode. And she said, I never thought of it that way. And that's the power of storytelling, where you can talk to a leftist all day long about how silly gun control is, and that their basic premise is that they don't trust human beings. They think, oh, if this person has a gun, then they're a bad person. Instead of saying, okay, here's a guy, when I see somebody open carrying, I'm going, cool. That, if somebody comes in, that guy's on my side. When leftists don't see that, they see it and go, oh, this guy's about to run amok. It's like, look, if I'm in a room with a gun, you've never been safer, because, well, except for a couple of my friends who shoot a little bit better than me. Too much. But yeah, you've never been safer. And she watched that episode of Max Justice about the Second Amendment. And the part that got her was just when Max said, just imagine what things would have been like if someone like me wasn't here. And that kind of, hits him going. And then that church shooting in Texas where that guy from the crowd,
out,
the gun, amazing shot, by the way.
Yeah, it was 30 yards out, 20 yards out or so.
30 yards out, headshot. Dude, that guy can shoot.
Handgun.
That was amazing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was an amazing shot. And, to step up in a moment of excitement like that and perform that way, that's truly amazing. So anyway, but I think storytelling, and Eric July talks about all the time, storytelling can change people's mind better than an argument can. It's that, it's that Mark Twain saying it's easier to fool a man than convince him that they've been fooled. So it's very hard to change a leftist mind about gun control because they have these built-in fallacies. rooted in their heads. And then when you tell a story and they can imagine themselves in a certain situation, they can imagine themselves as one of the people in the church when this guy comes in and starts shooting, and what would be going through your mind in that? Well, where's someone to protect us? And then all of a sudden you think, well, wait a minute, maybe the guy that can to protect me is the dude sitting next to me who brought his gun along, but he's, it's these people, you're 1,000 times more likely to be saved by someone. The guy concealed carrying next to you is 1,000 more times to risk his life for total strangers than he is to purposely hurt somebody. And that's the attitude people should have, and leftists just can't get there.
Sure. Yeah. It's because they wouldn't do the same.
Yeah.
That's what it
exactly.
is. And it's
can't imagine. And that's the other thing is about the Brian Nichols thing is excellent questions. It's like when you ask them, because I've had these debates before with leftists going like, okay, well, if you owned a gun, would you be irresponsible? Would you become a mass murderer, or would you like say, okay, I need to learn how to use this thing, and if the need arises, I need to be able to protect the people around me.
Sure.
And then maybe they can make the connection, but
or they won't because they wouldn't. And that's I talk about this a lot.
Right.
I talk about this a lot. You're
not the same.
It's the admission through projection. Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's an admission through projection. It's all these people are going to do that stuff because I'm going to do that stuff, or all these people are going to are not going to do that stuff because I'm not going to do that stuff. No, you're not going to do that stuff. That doesn't mean I'm not going to do this stuff, or Pat's not going to do that stuff.
Yes.
That's how it works. And it is an admission of guilt through projection. So,
and that brings me to something else that I've been thinking about, because that's the truth. When an emergency happens, you're going to have 5 people out of 100 running towards the danger instead of away from it.
True.
And what I think happened in society back when with the founding of the nation is that most people recognize, okay, those are the guys I want running things. Those are the guys we're going to give the power to choose how this thing happens. And right now we're so far away from that of even understanding who's it's it's like people idolizing George Floyd instead of Thomas Sowell. People it's craziness. It's absolute madness. We have to learn to let the smart people run things. And that's something a realization that was a hard pill to swallow this year was that, I used to think most people are libertarian. They just don't know it. Well, after the lockdowns and nobody's standing up for the lockdowns, I'm kind of going, you know what?
Proved us wrong.
Proved us wrong. Yeah. That is false.
Yeah.
Most people are not. So the task of libertarians now is not to convert people to libertarians. It's to convince them that libertarian ideologies are in their best interest in the long term.
Sure.
Because without liberty, you get wars, you get bigotry, you get all that stuff.
Lockdowns.
Individual
in your house.
Lockdowns.
Jobs taken
individual
from you.
Liberty cures all of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It definitely was it definitely was a big wake up call for the liberty movement over the last year. And if it wasn't, then you weren't paying attention, because a large portion of the population in this country were totally okay with being locked in their homes, totally okay with being told if they were, able to go to work or not, totally okay with being told if they have to take medical treatment or not. I mean, this is bad shit, and this is shit. We're going in the opposite direction. I mean, and society is sprinting away from us libertarians. And if we don't rein it back in, if we don't start showing them how our policies can enrich their lives, whether it's through the political process, through Bitcoin, through agorism, whatever, I don't care. But if we don't start showing them how it enriches their lives, we've lost them forever, at least for the rest of our lifetimes, until this cycle starts over again. So we have to
black pilled me again.
Yeah. So it's like we have to really stand up and fight this shit. And that was why when Dave started saying, like, why isn't anybody fighting this shit to the Libertarian Party? I was like, yes, why the fuck aren't we fighting this shit? Why aren't we fighting this?
Opportunity. Yeah, what a golden opportunity, because it's, you need to capture that people right from the very beginning. I said, when the first mandate happened, I go, the role of government in a crisis is to provide accurate information and advisories, never mandates, and we should not be standing for this. And it's like this voice in the wilderness that no one's like, no, Pat, we got to be safe. We don't understand what this thing is. And, so, yeah, I was preaching that from the very, very beginning, and there's another Max Justice quote. I make these memes when I think of a good quote, and a Max Justice quote is, "Tyranny is a virus that only spreads if the early outbreaks are not properly dealt with."
Sure.
And we didn't deal with the early outbreaks. I mean, the very first lockdowns. Remember the march in Michigan early on, the armed march on the Michigan Capitol, and then later the FBI.
Yeah, but even that was like 4 months into the lockdowns, though. Three months into the lockdowns.
It was. I guess it was April, right?
Was it April? Maybe it was like a month after the lockdown.
Yeah, I think it was a month after, and it was a combination of things. I think a lot of gun rights things were happening in Virginia and stuff like that. So it was kind of a combination of things, but the timing was right, but the results were wrong. Really, the whole nation needed to do the same thing and say, we're not going to tolerate lockdowns, whatever that means.
Sure.
And that choice of whatever that means is up to you politicians, because if you're going to push this stuff, then we're going to have to get to the point where we're going to push back. Oh, geez, now I'm going to get a Facebook notice. Danger. Oh, yeah. Dangerous.
No, we were talking about this earlier. We'll probably talk more about this in the after show as well. But
yeah,
all my friends on Facebook today are getting notices that they've been exposed to violent extremist content.
Violent extremists.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that warning.
Did I.
So
Neither did I.
I'm starting to think that maybe I'm the violent extremist that they're talking about, and I'm like, dude, I like a father of 7. Please don't fucking swap my house. You know what I mean?
I'm a philosopher. I'm a philosopher who can shoot, but I'm a philosopher. If this thing comes to violence, I will look at myself as a complete failure and a failure of reason, because, it's just insane. All the warning signs are there for us to have gulags right around the corner, and we got to put the brakes on it. And we want to do it with our words. Because the consequences of not being able to do it with our words are horrible.
Sure.
No matter what happens.
Well, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
On top. Yeah, the consequences of that are horrible.
As soon as John Brennan went on national television and lumped the libertarians in with violent extremists, I knew it was coming.
This reminds me of, I was on the platform committee in 2012. So I got on that committee because nobody else wanted it, and I didn't really understand what it was. And the first day, I go, I can just write stuff that I want to be in the Republican Party platform, and then we get to debate it and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun. So I wrote all the stuff about I was on the farming committee, so I wrote a bunch of stuff about raw milk, and all the stuff, and that was a good time. And then I go, well, tomorrow we're going into the main thing where you can put anything you want. It's not just to this on any subject, and we're on CNN. And I'm going, holy crap. So my job is to write stuff to make them explain why they are hypocrites on national television.
True.
So I wrote a couple of different ones against the NDAA, basically saying, that them saying, they're all for the NDAA, saying, it'll never be used against domestic people. And I said, speak no more of confidence in men, but bind them for mischief with the chains of the Constitution. If you write something, and the other Max Justice quote I have is, if you're going to give a power to government, you must first imagine that power in the hands of your worst enemy.
Yes.
And boy, they didn't like that.
Nice.
But it was great. Yeah. So on national television, they had to explain to me why the NDAA was a good thing. I'm going, well, here we are now. We tried to warn you, but it's all getting used against us.
Yep, absolutely. Well, man, we're getting to the end of this thing. Why don't you tell all these wonderful people that are watching, and we'll see this over the next several days, where exactly they can find you, how they can support you, what you need to continue Max Justice, all that good stuff. It's important. Trust me, when we're talking about the culture war, it's important to have more people that are adding to the libertarian side of that war than it is to not have those people. So support this man. Where can they find you at, Pat?
Cool. Well, I'm Patrick Kerby, 58, spelled Kerby on Twitter. I had Max Justice account on Twitter, and he got canceled last month. You just fight your way up to get followers, and they just rip it out from under you, and it was a shame. But maxjustice.tv is the website, and there's a PayPal thing there where you can donate. I'm going to set up a Subscribe Star because I had problems with Patreon. So I'll set up that again and kind of redouble my efforts to try to get some funding for Max Justice, because work's picking up again, and it'd be nice to continue this series and get some libertarian culture out there so people can look at the philosophy in a different way than just getting preached at on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Check out the Libertarian Party in Nevada, LP Nevada, on Twitter. They're doing great stuff now. So I'm really excited to see where this is going to go with the Libertarian Party, with spokesmen that can really articulate the message. Dave Smith on Joe Rogan and everything else he's doing is huge, man. It's huge because we've got this group of people in the MAGA, make America great again, which is one step away. All we got to do is say, hey, you know what made America great in the first place? Liberty. So, we've got this whole people without a home. I mean, the arch enemies of the Ron Paul people were the neocons, and MAGA is coming for the neocons. So I think, we got 75 million people with guns, and in the next couple of years, I think it would be good for us to get along with those people.
Pat, 75 million is an understatement. Let's be honest here, buddy. Yeah, that's an underscore for sure.
Yes.
But sir, I appreciate you guys. He's got 2 seasons on YouTube right now. Go find this stuff. Check it out. It's great to watch. Pat, thank you so much for coming on. Stick around. I'm going to see you in a few minutes for the after show. We're going to talk Hawaiian shirts, buddy.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Patrick. All right, guys, another awesome show. Man, he's cool as shit. I like Patrick Kerby. He's a lot. I had been following Max Justice on Twitter for a long time, but I never really knew who Patrick Kerby was until recently, and it's been really good getting to know the guy. Man, he's awesome. Go support this man. Help him make more episodes, more seasons. Let's start pushing more libertarianism into mainstream culture, because that's really what we're going to have to do if we want to win. Because right now we're not competing with the woke blue-pilled media. That's for sure. But anyways, guys, check out my sponsors at lorenzotti.coffee for all your delicious Italian coffee needs delivered directly to your door. Bring the taste of Italy home. Use BTC at checkout. Guys, good coffee. Check it out. Seriously. Drink some. Make some. Order it. TopLobster.com. The man, the myth, the legend, where you can get this awesome Ron Paul for Congress shirt that I'm wearing tonight, plus a million other designs. At TopLobster.com. Use BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. You can also, if you become a patron or a subscribe or now join the channel where you get all this great exclusive content, and you get into a private Discord server with there's 75 people, 80 people in there now, and you get Top Lobster gear 2 weeks earlier than anybody else gets it at a 30% discount. Super deep discount. It's really awesome. Definitely check it out. And of course, my executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. These people are doing a wonderful job that the government sucks at, more efficiently and much cheaper. Check out anthemplanning.com today. See what they can do for you or your business or your family. Guys, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/breakthecyclejs, or the same at Subscribestar, or join the channel here underneath any YouTube video. If you do this, You guys now have exclusive content after every show. I am going to put out 10 to 20 minutes extra. We're calling it CouchStreams After Hours. It's been really, really cool so far. Last night, Jeremy Kaufman was talking about all kinds of crazy shit. I had Maj Touré in there talking shit about Nick Sarwark. You guys are missing out on the real juicy stuff by not signing up to watch this stuff. But if you sign up as a channel member here on YouTube, you also get some special badges, special emojis, and you get to watch the After Hours live. If you sign up on Patreon, you get a whole bunch of other swag, but you have to watch the After Hours the next morning when I get them uploaded to Patreon or Subscribestar. Guys, I appreciate everything you've done for me and my family by participating in the show, by being a part of the show. I will always consider you my friends. I want to see you tomorrow night when I will have another good friend on the show, Buck Johnson from Counterflow. Super stoked to do this. My first ever interview I ever did with Break the Cycle when I was an audio podcast was with Buck. We get along really great. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk liberty. We're going to talk badassery. I will see you then. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. Don't try to get us, cause it close to COVID.